The Scottish Football Podcast
from BBC Radio Scotland.
Hello and welcome to the Scottish Football Podcast on Wednesday the 11th of October 2023 from BBC Sport Scotland. I'm Liam McLeod. Remember to hit the subscribe button as there will be a podcast with you in some way, shape or form every single day. Today's one comes from the southern Spanish city of Seville, the capital of Andalusia, home of the Seville Orange, flamenco dancing, bullfighting, and for the next 36 hours or so, Steven Thompson, former Scotland striker, who is joining the locals ahead of this huge Euro 2024 qualifier, Scotland's sixth, which is of course against the top seeds, Spain. How are you? How are you feeling?
Very well, Liam. Feeling excellent, thank you very much.
Just describe the conditions out here.
It's a touch on the hot side, yeah. I don't even know, what is it, like 32, 33?
It's in the mid-30s, yeah.
Yeah, so a wee bit toasty, which is never ideal, but I suppose we've played in hot weather already in this campaign, so it shouldn't really be too big a problem. It certainly wasn't over in Cyprus.
No, it was not. What a fantastic first half performance it was there. The programme is on air at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Kick-off is 7:45. The other game in the group, which could have a huge significance tomorrow evening, play a big role, Cyprus against Norway. Any points dropped by Norway from this point onwards.
Can't see it.
If it does happen, Scotland qualify no matter what happens. Here in Seville.
Well, you watched Cyprus as I did with my own two eyes not that long ago.
No, I don't.
I doubt there's something happening there.
People won't be putting their mortgages on the Cypriots, I wouldn't have thought.
No.
But Scotland can qualify
on
Thursday evening. A massive opportunity. They've beaten Spain already, but you do feel that this is going to be an altogether more difficult challenge. Not just because of the conditions, but I think the Spanish squad's stronger for this camp than it was in March.
I think there's a number of factors. I think, yes, they've got players back that weren't there when we played them the last time. The heat may come into it, it may not. We don't have that amazing crowd that was there at Hampden that evening to back us. And I think they're out for revenge. Clearly, they weren't overly enamoured with our performance in the last game. We were, but they're out for revenge. They know they need to win the game if they want to go and end up top in the group. So I'm a wee bit more fearful about this one. However, you kind of almost, I know it does matter, but it doesn't matter if we lose because we're still going to qualify. So
are we? Yeah.
We have to, Liam. I don't think even we could mess this up. So I'm not overly bothered if we lose the game. Hopefully we do win it. I think it'll be a very difficult test for us. I mean, these three games that Steve Clarke's had in terms of the England, Spain, and then obviously we're off to France and Lille. So you're putting yourself up against some of the top teams in the world there in terms of opposition. So it'd be a great barometer for Steve Clarke to see where his team is at. We all know how well Scotland have been doing over this last period. We're all loving it. England were a class above us on the evening. I felt as though we really struggled with the pace that they moved the ball.
I think that was a bit of a reality check for the
maybe,
squad
yeah.
and for the fans.
Yeah, and maybe you need that sometimes. I think there was a bit of optimism going into that game, but they showed that they're a wee bit of a higher quality than we were on the evening. Spain will obviously be very difficult, and then France, as we know, a top side. So I think it's good. It's better taking on these types of games for me than taking the meaningless friendlies. I played in a few of them for Scotland, and
that one in Paris. You played that one, didn't you?
Well, no, that was one of the better ones. Although we get pumped, but it was one of the better oppositions. That's what I mean. You're better testing yourself, and it allows Steve Clarke to see what he thinks he needs should be, and when we get to the Euros next summer, because we'll be up against obviously top quality sides.
And the Nations League, of course, they're in League A for the next edition of that, which will be next year. That win for Scotland in March was seismic for many different reasons. Firstly, it was a great result for Scotland because that is the kind of result that if you can get in a qualifying campaign, it can hand you the keys to qualification. And then they go and win in Norway late in the day as well. Those two results are why Scotland are sitting in this position right now. And as you say, comfortably, it seems, heading to Germany. That game in March, it was Spain's first defeat in 19 European Championship qualifiers going back to 2014. they've got an awesome qualifying record, and I had to double, triple, quadruple check this. They've played 125 qualifying matches on home soil. They've only lost 5 of them.
It's not bad.
Scotland don't need to win the game, but
did you know who it was against? Have you got the teams that beat them?
I mean,
you're not that good then.
No, I do have them written down somewhere, but I don't have it in front of me right now.
Well, that's disappointing because I now want to know.
Right, well, if you answer about how awesome this record is, I'll try and check it for you, right?
Right, on you go. Yes, it's an awesome record, Liam. No, but you're right to point out that it's a marquee result against Spain, without a shadow of a doubt. A result I don't think many were expecting, but it certainly catapulted us up the group. Then obviously we've spoken previously about the Norway game and just how big a result that was, when in fact that was probably our worst performance of the campaign. And you know, when they scored, I didn't see a way back into the match for us, but somehow, some way we managed to do it. Obviously Kenny McLeod popping up with the goods. So it sets up tomorrow evening rather well. Have you managed to find that yet?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. No editing involved. I managed to work this out.
Right, let me see who's beaten Spain in the last 120 years.
Their last home defeat, and I knew this one was 20 years ago, so that was to Greece.
20 years ago? To Greece?
In Euro 2004 qualifying. They lost to France, but you could go back to 1991 for that one. Yugoslavia in 1979, and England in 68, and the USSR in 1960.
Right, so they don't lose
They're
often.
unbeaten in all their other home qualifiers.
Right.
They've never lost a World Cup qualifier. They've all
Ever?
won Euros. Yeah.
Right, okay. So it's going to be tough.
It will be. There's no question about it. But remember, Scotland just a point away. If they can pick up a point in Seville, then they've got the Euro 2024 party to look forward to next summer. You do think that they're going to get the job done at some point. I think, for me personally, it's most likely going to happen on Sunday evening.
Agreed.
When Norway host Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Norway actually played very well in Spain. They played the game down the road from here in Malaga, and ended up in the wrong end of a 3-0 defeat, but they were profligate. They missed so many opportunities to get something out of that match. So, you know, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that Norway will do to Spain as Scotland did in March, but I think that's probably the most likely first opportunity for Scotland to qualify. It could happen on Thursday, but on Sundays the Tartan Army are assembling in Lille.
Yeah.
It could be quite the party, because they'll all want to watch that game. That's going to be potentially the big party moment.
Well, providing we don't get anything out of Thursday night. I mean, as much as you've just said, it's going to be very difficult to beat Spain here. I think, could we sneak a draw? Could we put on a defensive masterclass? Defensively, we've been very good throughout this campaign. 4 clean sheets in 5 games, but again,
just the one conceded. That was the penalty.
The old penalty. So, like, you know, you've got to say, defensively we've looked defensively we've looked very sound. Obviously, Kieran Tierney is missing, which is a huge miss. One of our best players, arguably our best player.
Well, do you want to get into that now? Because
if you would like, Liam, you're in charge.
The Tierney situation is a bleak one for Scotland, because, and we wish him well in his recuperation. Hopefully, he's not out for too long, because he's had his injury problems in the past. But without him, some of the biggest games that they've played without Kieran Tierney recently have been terrible. I mean, there was the first game at Euro 2020 against the Czechs. There was the World Cup playoff semi-final against Ukraine, well beaten in that game. Then there was the match in Dublin just after that in the Nations League, 3-0 defeat, awful performance, all without Kieran Tierney.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but you know, if he can get himself fit and raring to go and up to speed for when we are heading to Germany, then fine, because he's done his part in getting us there. So, yeah, I mean, he's a big miss. That's obvious. You know, probably should start talking about who's going to replace him. There was kind of murmurings during the week that they might go to a back 4. I personally would rather see them stick with the 3 that's been working well, and you know, we've got a number of players that could slip into the left centre half position. I think for me it would probably be Scott McKenna would be the kind of easiest pick to slot in there, which obviously then keeps Andy Robertson at left back and Hickey at right back. The only issue is
McKenna's not played since the 18th of September. Is that a problem?
Yes, that's not a big issue for me, but clearly he'll not step forward in the way that Kieran Tierney does, with the same sort of rampaging putting fear into the opposition down the left-hand side.
It's been such a weapon.
However, against Spain, we're not going to be doing that anyway. So, you know, he is a kind of born defender. He'll put his head in. He's aggressive. So it actually might not be a bad thing, in my opinion, if he did end up playing. But you're going to miss Kieran Tierney and Andy Robertson's combination play down the left-hand side's been superb for us. It's been a big factor. And obviously we're going to miss that. But tomorrow we're going to be absorbing an awful lot of pressure. We won't see a lot of the ball tomorrow night, but I do think we're quite a good counter-attacking team. So actually, if we counter-attack well and we manage to defend as well as we can do, then we might have a sniff at a draw.
I remember the France matches for Euro 2008, the two games against the French.
Mm-hmm.
They were proper backs to the wall. I mean,
Yeah.
to ride their luck at times, and it seemed a little bit... Scotland didn't have any control on proceedings in either of those matches, yet they came out with two magnificent results.
Was that when the goalkeeper threw in Fadi's shot?
I knew you'd want to get a wee nibble in at James for that one. Yeah,
Hey,
it was a
hear it.
wonderful strike. It was. The game against Spain, they had 75% of the ball in March
Yeah.
at Hampden, but it felt as though Scotland were in serious control of large spells of that game.
Yeah, I know what you mean. For a team that did have as much possession, I never really felt that threatened in that game. What I would say is, you know, they've scored 13 goals in their last two games.
Yeah.
So they've clearly found their way. They didn't have their shooting boots on that night when they played us at Hampden, but they've certainly found their way to goal recently. And in these, you need so much things to go your way. You need your goalkeeper to have a great match. You need a real bit of luck. You need the other team to be a wee bit slack in their finishing. You need a combination of things to go your way to get another result like we did at Hampden, especially with it being in away games. So it's going to be tough.
The team from the England game wasn't much removed. It wasn't at all removed
No.
from what he normally does. So looking at that side, obviously
Yeah.
there's no Tierney. The rest of the starting 11 are all available for this
Mhm.
one. Angus Gunn will be in goal, obviously.
Yeah.
Unless there's a problem between now and kick-off, obviously. So Jack Henry, Ryan Porteous, they stay in the team.
Yep. I don't think they've done anything wrong to be taken out of the team. You know, we've said previously, Steve Clarke isn't a tinker man. He doesn't chop and change his side. Clearly he's got an enforced change to make with Kieran Tierney. So I think if we're talking about the defence, I think you'd probably look at Hickey, Hendry, Porteous, McKenna, Robertson. Who's the other centre half? So you could bring
Liam
in?
Cooper
Cooper could possibly come in, slightly more experienced, obviously, than
hasn't been seeing much action
McKenna.
recently.
No. So it'll be interesting to see how he does go with that. If he does go with the back four, which, you know, I don't think that he would, but if he does, then it does create a kind of another, not problem, but another kind of who plays centre half then. Does he just go with Hendry, Porteous, Robertson left back, Hickey right back? So he could do that potentially, but I think that then takes away from what's been, for me, a key part of our success, which has been the kind of two sitters and the two higher midfielders that we've been playing with, McTominay and Gilmour. Not McTominay, sorry, McGregor and Gilmour, and then McTominay and McGinn. There's too many Micks in our team, which has worked so well for us. Clearly McTominay will be flying after his goals at the weekend for Manchester United. His goal record for us has been phenomenal.
Well, he's been the man of the campaign, hasn't he?
You don't.
McGinn was the man of the last campaign, and McTominay this time.
Yeah, and you don't. For me, you don't mess with that because that's been a really strong part of our side. So I'd be amazed if they changed that midfield sort of area. Up front's up for debate because I don't think Shea Adams had his best games in the last two caps. Clearly, Lyndon Dykes was struggling for fitness a wee bit. However, I think he's back up and running now. Kevin Nisbet's withdrawn from the squad, so I think because we're going to have to be playing, a counter-attacking style of football, and Lyndon Dykes holds the ball up better than Shea Adams. When we need an out ball, he really is such a brilliant option. Even if you're not getting it to him right where he wants it, he'll go and fight and scrap, and you can just get yourself up the pitch a wee bit and take a breather. So he'll be massive for us tomorrow night as well.
Well, it was Dykes in March, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Adams hasn't scored, actually, since the 19th of August, which obviously includes that international window in September. So Dykes up front, you reckon? That's probably fair enough. When you
I don't
get
think
that
it'll be
side.
a million miles away from that. As we've said, he doesn't change his side.
You do take a lot though out of the team when Tierney's not there, because how many other sides in international football have one of their centre backs rampaging down the left wing to support
not
the
that
wing
many.
back?
No, I wouldn't have imagined.
Scott McKenna's not going to give you that, and Liam Cooper's not going to give you that.
No.
But as you say, perhaps
We might
they're
not be
gonna
rampaging
they're not
all
way.
that much on Thursday, Liam.
Yeah, I mean, if they make it 6 wins out of 6 and a victory in Spain, it's got to go down as one of their greatest ever results.
You kidding? Be
I mean, when you
phenomenal.
consider the prize at the end of it as well. I mean, it'd be the greatest ever draw if they managed to find a point.
It'd be. I mean, the shame is that we've had that England defeat in between the last international and this one, because it's just taken a wee bit of the momentum away. I know it's not a qualifier.
That was the one to lose, though. I mean,
Of course,
the
games
games this year.
Of course. So our last game's been a defeat, although it wasn't in qualifying. However, the team have every right to go into this game full of confidence, and I think they'll approach it in a very similar manner to what they did at Hampden. They'll get in Spain's face and they will annoy the life out of them. Not give them a second on the ball, be very aggressive and strong in the tackle, and just see if you can wind them up again, because they clearly got very wound up at Hampden.
Yeah, Rodri described the Scotland performance as terrible.
Was it rubbish, he said?
Rubbish, it was. Rubbish, yeah. I mean, you'd take a 2-0 victory if it was rubbish every single day of the week, wouldn't you?
Yeah, too right, you mean.
Spain, since then, have gone on to win the Nations League.
Oh, yeah.
They won it in the Netherlands. They beat Italy in the semis, the current European champions. In Enschede, they went on to win the final on penalties against Croatia and Rotterdam. And after that, as you mentioned earlier, 7-1 against Georgia, 6-0 against Cyprus.
They've found a wee bit of rhythm.
Oh, they have, yeah.
Mm.
The team has been pretty similar since then. I think he was De La Fuentes, the coach. I think he was a little bit short in numbers for the Scotland match, the visit to Glasgow. The team been pretty settled since then. He's been playing. Jesus Navas has played played the Nations League games. Danny Carvajal played the 2 qualifiers in September. Unai Simon, the goalkeeper, is back. He missed the Scotland game through injury. It's Robin Lenormand and Aymeric Laporte playing at centre back in these matches. Jose Gaya has been over at left back. He's not in the squad for this one. And when you look at the midfield, they always sit with Rodri in the middle. Gavi,
he's not bad, I suppose.
Well, helped Man City to their treble last season. Of course, those outspoken comments after the match in Glasgow in the spring. He'll anchor things. Gavi would normally play in beside him, the Barcelona youngster, but he's an injury doubt. Don't know if he's going to make it. Fabian Ruiz has played in that 3 as well. And then the front 3, obviously Alvaro Morata, the captain, will be leading the line. He's a frightening international goal scoring record.
Yeah.
They didn't like him for a long time in this country for some bizarre reason. He always seemed to do the business. So it's going to be interesting to see who they play as the kind of backup to the striker on Thursday evening. I'm not exactly sure who they're going to pick. Ferran Torres, I think, will play.
No.
I mean, these guys are going to
team.
cause any team problems.
Of course they are. We're not coming into the game unaware of that. The team will know exactly what they're coming to face. But with Steve Clarke, the organisation that he puts into his teams will have a structure. It will not be too different from what we normally do, and we'll just try and make things ugly and difficult for Spain and not allow them to pick us off. It's sometimes easier said than done when you're playing against a team with so much quality. And when you watch the England game against us, some of their speed of passing and their speed of movement off the ball and on the ball was just, it was frightening and a wee bit too much for us at the time. It'll be a difficult fixture. We'll have a game plan and we need to execute it absolutely perfectly to come away with anything.
It's exciting though for the Scotland fans, isn't it? Out in the sunshine, enjoying the cervezas.
Normally you're going away to games and you're really struggling in a campaign, or you're kind of hoping to pick up a result and look at other teams dropping points and everything's up in the air. Everything's absolutely superb right now, and there's a very relaxed feel. You know, we were getting the train up this morning to Seville, chatting to a couple of fans on the train, and you know, I think everybody accepts tomorrow night's going to be a difficult game, but everybody's loved the campaign so far. We know how close we are to qualification. As you said, it might happen on Sunday evening when Spain play against Norway. Might happen tomorrow night. You never know. But the feeling around the camp and the feeling around the national team just now is one of such positivity that you can actually just feel it when you're talking to the supporters. Just kind of everybody's just absolutely buzzing.
Yeah, and obviously they've got so many different opportunities to qualify, different ways to qualify just now. We'll have 1 year in what's going on in Larnaca on Thursday evening.
Is it kick off same time?
Same time.
Right,
we're kicking off at 7:45. And I mean, Steve Clarke's just got this Midas touch, doesn't he? When you look back at this campaign, I mean, it's the stuff of dreams, and they've still got this opportunity to create history and finish top of the section. And incidentally, a 1-0 defeat in Spain isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that would give them still the opportunity to finish top of the section. If they lose to Spain, that's going to become more difficult because of the goal difference, and depending on the head-to-head outcome. They won 2-0, so if you look at the head-to-head between Scotland and Spain, a 1-0
this is providing
defeat
we
means...
go on and win our remaining games.
Correct, yeah.
Which will be difficult. You know, Georgia away, Norway obviously will be difficult, even though it's at home. So tough games, but you know, by that point we'll have qualified, so it will not matter.
Chance for history, that's for sure. Just a quick word, Tom, on Euro 2028 coming to the United Kingdom, including Glasgow. There's going to be some matches held there. All of the home nations in the Republic are going to have to go through the qualifying process. I think they all want to do that anyway. But Hampden's going to have another opportunity to take centre stage at a major finals.
Well, it's good because obviously the last one was during COVID and the crowd was very much down, and Hampden didn't, you know, get to show its true colours, really, if you like, in terms of the atmosphere at Hampden only is there when it's full for me. It's not a stadium that copes well with half-full crowds. So it's great for Scottish football, great for the city of Glasgow and for Scotland to be hosting a game, and great for the profile of football in our country. So lots and lots of positives to come out of that, Liam, apart from the fact that we'll, if we're still employed, not be doing an away trip to somewhere warm.
Yes, that's true. That's true. It's a long way off, though. We shall wait and see. We'll probably be found out by then. So it's Spain against Scotland, 7:45 kick-off Thursday evening. Sports Sound is on the air on BBC Radio Scotland across all the frequencies, on digital and online at 6 p.m. on Thursday. Join Richard and the guys, Tomo and myself, out here in Seville for that one. We'll have a podcast for you in the wake of the programme. That will encapsulate all the post-match reaction from Steve Clarke and hopefully a few of the players as well. And will it encapsulate Scotland qualifying for a major finals, back-to-back Euros? It's going to be a tough challenge, that's for sure. But it's Spain against Scotland, live on BBC Radio Scotland on Thursday evening.
The Scottish Football Podcast
from BBC Radio Scotland.